It was like I guess the successor to Teletubbies. And there was 4 colored individuals. Colors.
Hold on.
Colored as in yellow.
They were individuals of color.
Colorful. Okay. Thank you. I thought this show was about to turn into a different type of show. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Super Agile Bros. You already know who it is. It's your boy Bradston with your boy Kyle. Kyle, tell the people hello.
Hello, hooty-hoo.
Hooty-hoo. And of course, we got Steve, the Magnificent. What's up, Steve? What's happening?
Feeling magnificent.
Magnificent as always. So as you guys know, Super Agile Bros is just, we talk about everything and nothing, but in particular today we are talking about something I think that's pretty quality. It's actually like kind of sort of a part 2 of, I guess, our last episode on anime. I think we had a great discussion. For those who haven't listened to that podcast yet, stop what you're doing, pause this and go back and listen to it. But really what we did is we just talked about our top 5 anime. I forced the guys to make a list and check it twice, maybe 3 times. And it was an ordered list. So, you know, you kind of had to stake your ground, at least in the moment, on some anime. So today, like, it's going to be a little bit different. Instead of like having a list per se, our own curated list, we're going to kind of look at, we're going to be using the top 500 most rated, popular, whatever from the Anime News Network website. So we're going to be looking a little bit at that, but also just going to be talking about anime in general, like what we're watching and stuff like that. So I guess to get it all started off, I guess, what are you guys watching right now, anime wise? Like, are y'all watching anything, honestly? Like, Steve.
Let's hear it.
Steve already laughing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was dogging on Kyle for his number 1 being Yu-Gi-Oh. No. Was it Yu-Gi-Oh? Number 2 was Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. No, it's number 1.
You have to go back and listen to find out.
No, it was Yu-Gi-Oh. Don't listen. Don't listen to our podcast. I was dogging on him, but I've definitely been watching the Shaman King remake on Netflix.
Got him.
The Shaman King, is that the movie?
No, it's an anime. It's a TV show.
Shaman King. I don't
Very
know. Very
Yu-Gi-Oh-esque.
Really? You missed that? Oh man.
It sounds familiar, but maybe it's one of those, like, was it on 4Kids as well? Like, in that
I
same
think
era?
it was, I'm pretty sure it was a failed 4Kids. Yeah.
Yeah, it was part of the lineup.
Oh, Shaman King. Yes, I do
with the
remember.
kid with the open shirt.
Yeah.
He's like a 12-year-old, but he's always out here with his open shirt. Like, what are you doing?
Sounds like a young Steve, always with the open shirt.
To be fair. But yeah, Netflix made a remake. And
I didn't know that.
I did not realize. This is how good it was. Is I was watching it and I did not realize it was a remake. I thought, I was like, because I always saw it in English as a kid, so it was a long time ago anyway. But I'm like, oh, I'm watching it in the original Japanese, and the art's decent, but no, it's a remake. That's why the art's decent.
Really?
But so far, it's pretty faithful to all the things that I remember.
Wow.
So it's hitting those nostalgia buttons.
Yeah.
But it's like nostalgia in, like, oh, I remember the show, but this is like the memory that I wish I had of Shaman King.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's definitely a kid's show, but it's pretty good. I've also been watching Digimon, the remake of Digimon Adventure, which is totally different. Not at all like a faithful thing. They just rebooted the whole story. And that is also very good.
I felt like Digimon.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
I felt like Digimon, every time they made a new series, like, they went into the deep end. Like, they weren't even trying necessarily to make it feel like the previous season or anything.
Never.
Like, they're always reaching.
It was always reaching. This is the first... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead. I just... Yeah, you said this is the first one now?
We're not letting this man get a word in. No, you're right, Kyle. You're right, Kyle. So they had Digimon Adventure, and then they had Digimon Adventure 2, which was a direct sequel, but introduced a lot of new stuff and changed a lot of things. And then they had Tamers, which was totally bonkers, and, you know, completely unrelated, essentially a reboot. And then they had Frontier, same thing, reboot. And then they had 3 or 4 more shows that were all reboots. And they never made a sequel to Tamers, which makes me furious. But yes, they have rebooted the original. So it's the original cast from Adventure with Tai and Ty and Agumon as the main characters, and Matt and whatever. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But your boy Izzy and Tentamon are in there. That's great. And it's really good. I'm not going to say too much. It's really good. It's for a kid show. It's really good.
Well, see, you kind of answered my question. I was gonna ask. I was like, I feel like Digimon was one of those shows that like I wanted to get into, but I was always super confused because I thought like there was one Digimon, but then I might not. I didn't realize that there were different ones at the time, I guess. And the fact that was it really called Digimon 2? Like
it was called Adventure 02 was the second season.
Okay, I was about to say I don't think I've ever seen an anime that just was like
the sequel.
So one thing they did kind of like go with pretty heavily, which I appreciate, was like this idea of everything is in the digital world. So like they were heavy-handed with the naming conventions and stuff when it came down to it.
What do you mean?
Like the O2, like that's.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and they do that in the show too with a certain amount of things.
If they're really digital, all of their show titles would have like underscores. There'd be no spaces.
It'd be in binary.
You know what show you guys just reminded me of that like I liked, and I don't know if it was good, but I liked it. It was Zatch Bell. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show, but it was like, Steve, you ever seen Zatch Bell before?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, so it was kind of on around the same time as like the Yu-Gi-Ohs and all the weird kind of like, we're trying new things to see if kids will connect with it, but it was on Toonami, and essentially the whole premise was like there were these weird puppet people, or like they were like almost like Pokemon, like but they were people from another world, and they came to our world to determine who was going to be the king of their world.
Cool.
And you basically would fight with them, like you'd be their trainer. And you fight other people, but the stakes were like, I think like they were dying. Like it seemed like they were supposed to go back to their world, but it also felt like, I think that guy's dead.
It was rough.
It was pretty dark at times,
dude. There's
a lot of like magic and stuff in that. I remember that one. I couldn't watch it.
I hate to beat a dead horse, but this remake of Shaman King is pretty intense.
Are you watching it now?
I'm not watching it currently.
It's just actively like in the background. Like, come on.
If I seem distracted, there's like a scene. So first of all, one of the villains is a necromancer, and his like spirit ally is his dead wife. He's trying to like bring her back to life, and so he like has her bones, and he uses her bones to like to fight, which is pretty jacked up. But the fight against him starts with him not even abducting, he does it right there. Basically just grabbing the main character's little friend and cutting him open like right there on the ground and like pulling his skin apart and like looking at his muscles and stuff. And the guy's he's just awake on the ground screaming. And that's how it starts. And there's one scene where this guy, he's like kind of the villain in the shadows. And they introduce him, and he's petting a panda like it's a cat. Like, this thing's on his lap. He's that big. And then he gets angry, and he just crushes the panda. In his hand. And I'm like, oh, my God.
This is a kid's show?
It's a kid. Hey, kids are different now, man. They've already seen it all.
Oh, you're right.
That's true, yeah.
They're desensitized.
Now that, here's another show. I know that Digimon. Y'all ever seen the show Monster Rancher?
I was about to ask you about Monster Rancher with that big yellow eyeball.
Yeah, the weird yellow eyeball, and like my brother, you really liked that show. I didn't see much of it, but it seemed like, I don't know, was that an anime? Was it an actual anime?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it was like on WB or something. It was like on a random channel.
I don't remember the theme song. I don't remember what the main characters looked like. All I remember is that yellow eyeball.
That yellow eyeball thing.
With the one tentacle.
It was one of those shows that had like it had the toy tie-ins where you would catch monsters with discs. Because in the show, there were like monster discs, and so in real life you would like scan like CDs to get monsters.
Oh. Yeah, there was a game. There's a game that apparently was like really good, Monster Rancher, and what you would do is you would actually insert your CDs into the system, and it would take that data and make a monster from
That's cool.
So it was just like all about getting as many CDs as you can and hoping that you could make super duper cool. Like I was like, what? I've never.
It's like scanners.
Scanners?
But what a practical application for something that's already in your house, though. Back then.
Yeah, it's like those little barcode monster capturing game.
That's what scanners is.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Like it's like you scan like UPCs and then like, that came later, but it's like it's super cool.
And that was a dedicated device, like a Tamagotchi almost. It had a little barcode scanner on it.
Mm-hmm. Man, Tamagotchi. That's like isn't it weird? Like certain things like came from across literally the other side of the world, and just like I wonder who the first person was like, let's introduce anime to children. Like not clearly anime is animation and for children in Japan for the most part, but like we don't get like Turkish, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't get like French,
Dingo pictures.
Well, I don't really, I mean, maybe I'm just completely uncultured, but I don't really think that there are thriving animation industries, at least not at the time, maybe more now, but back then, I don't think there was in those countries.
Thriving is I mean, they definitely do make animations. They're just all terrible.
Right.
I mean, are they terrible or are they just different? Like they're like, it's kind of like Peppa Pig. Isn't that like a British show or something like that? And like,
I don't know. I think Peppa Pig is Canadian.
So, yeah.
Or Teletubbies. Like Teletubbies. Actually, like in the weirdest way, I remember when I was visiting my family in England and Teletubbies hadn't made it to the States yet. But bro, it is probably one of the weirdest things to ever see, like, and not know what it is. And like, like one of my like little cousins or somebody, it was at somebody's house. I don't know who this person was. And there was like a little kid watching, and I was like, "What in the world?
Yeah, chunk is thrown off.
Are you watching?"
Right.
Have you seen Boobas?
Huh?
What?
Booba. It's like it was. It was like the successor to Teletubbies, and there was 4 colored individuals.
Colored.
Colors.
Hold on.
Colored as in yellow.
They were individuals of color.
Colorful. Okay. Thank you. I thought this show was about to turn into a different type of show. But Booba.
So have you seen In Living Color? Anyway. But they would do like weird stuff. But their thing was that they had like this they wore a turtleneck.
Cool.
And so they could sink their heads into their bodies.
Oh no. No.
And all you could see was their eyes. And every time they made like this sound.
No.
And
I'm
I
dead.
encourage you to look up just the scene so that you also can experience the nightmare that is Booba.
That reminds me like of y'all ever played Mega Man Adventure or Mega Man not RPG. I'm thinking Mega Man Legends. One? Mega Man Legends. Oh. And like there is this one character that was like a big baby and it would go Babu like all the time. Like it was this weird giant baby robot that you killed constantly. And it was like it was called like Babu or something. But anyway. But no, I've never heard of. Now I'm afraid I'm gonna have nightmares of these weird turtleneck monsters.
They're horrible.
And it's a kids show.
It is 100%.
Kids are different, man.
So anything else you're watching, Steve, right now, anime wise?
Tangent.
Yeah, it got to turn from that because I can't think about that anymore.
I think that pretty much sums everything up.
Okay. What about you, Kyle? You watching anything right now, anime?
So watching, no. I just finished watching. I think we talked about it last time. My Hero. Okay. But I guess the closest thing I've gotten to like starting to watch a new one is that I started playing the Digimon game, Cyber Sleuth.
Ooh, yeah.
And so it's got, Digimon on my mind as far as I guess the show goes. And it also leads into what I said earlier, how, Digimon, they go for it like every time. Like they They don't care if they reference anything from the past. Aside from, I guess, the Digimon, they seem to stay pretty consistent. But how they work and what the world is and what it's doing.
The lore of the world is always totally different.
Yeah, it complete, like, there's no solid footing if you're trying to understand what's going on in Digimon.
From show to show, you mean? But like in the one show, it's consistent. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah,
like, I was like,
right.
What kind of alternate reality anime where like the just the backstory changes just constantly? I'd be like, I can't do this.
I mean, that's kind of how it feels, I guess, from instance to instance. Like, they just seem so disconnected, and then you see the same little character running around, and it's like, I guess that's how they bridge the gap. But then, so
as long as they have a different voice actor, I'm okay.
I mean, are there any other shows that do anything? I mean, like, not like within the anime world. I mean, like Power Rangers kind of does that. Like, it's the same but different universe. Like, are there any other animes that do that? Like Digimon?
Yu-Gi-Oh started doing that.
Well,
completely different.
Isn't Yu-Gi-Oh supposed to be in one world?
That's the thing. Like, I thought it was, but like as the seasons go on, I haven't kept up with it well. So maybe I'm wrong on this, but it seems like it's very like widespread between, like, because sometimes they'll introduce like a kid who's in school, right, and they still kind of call it Duel Monsters, I guess, but the game is like almost completely different.
Really?
So it's
so like Duel Monsters is the game, but like, what? That's so strange.
Just because of, I guess, how the mechanics have grown on top of it. Like, if you look at season 1 Yu-Gi-Oh gameplay versus where it is now, really only the back of the card looks the same.
That's so
Plus, I mean, even within the show, I feel like even within like shows, Yu-Gi-Oh is always like just making crap up.
Yes.
You know?
but what you did not know, it's like, oh my goodness. Like,
Jar of Greed.
Karibos. That's all I know. It was always Karibo based. Karibo based, like Karibo cannon. Multiple infinite Karibo, like yo, like please stop. Like, you know.
Like just cheating.
Sexy
He made the rules. You know, it's like, I mean,
thanks.
It's like you've been watching, you said My Hero. Like I'm watching that like pretty hardcore now. I don't know, how many seasons are there? 3? 4?
I've lost track. The seasons are really
Weird.
They're long.
Ill-formed.
Yeah, like they're just, it doesn't feel like, normally I can tell like when the season starts, the season ends.
Yeah.
But like I know when it ends, probably because of certain, you know, the what do you call it, the conflict or whatever ends, and like it starts like a new kind of whatever. But it still feels like, I don't know what season I'm really in. I think I'm in season 3. And it's so interesting because I don't know if I'll ever put My Hero Academia on my top like list per se. Like maybe it'll be in my top 10 when I'm finished or something. But like there was like a moment I just watched where I was like, okay, I see why people like this show. You know, like it was this really, like it really was just a cool, like you could see they were building something, and it all came to that moment. Like it felt really well done, you know, like, oh man, okay. They got some plans with this show, and I can see, you know, in the future, like, you know, where I'm at, like it can go places, and I think it's pretty cool, you know. I wonder where it's gonna fall for me, you know, amongst my top anime, because right now it's not. I don't think it's in my top 10, but we'll see.
I'm the type of person, like, I don't like cry from media. You know, like people say they watch Lion King and they cry, right? And I get it. Titanic, you want to cry. I will say, My Hero, a couple of moments almost got me, man. Like, legitimately.
It has some really good writing.
That's really
yes. And I'm like, what these cartoons doing to me right now?
I will say there is a moment with a character that I just recently saw that literally made me feel like bad, like legitimately. I was like, oh, this is too cute, like not cute, but like touching, like you know, like you said, I'm not like a super like emotional person, but I genuinely was like, oh man, like, and maybe we'll talk about it off air, because Steve, it sounds like you're like done with it, right?
No, I'll watch it eventually.
Oh, okay. So you haven't watched it. Well, I'll talk with you later, Kyle, because you finish it. But like, there's just a moment that I recently watched where I was like, oh man, like I'm a grown man and I'm feeling things. Like, come on, man. Like, they did a really good job with that. Like, and those moments shine through, But like, I think Steve said it last time. Like, maybe they're not the best with the pacing sometimes.
Yeah.
If but as an anime fan, I feel like if I was a kid, it probably wouldn't bother me. As an adult, maybe more. But as an anime fan, I get it. Like, okay, this is just some animes that like this, And
that was kind of the weird thing, I guess, with the pacing, is that a lot of it built up to those kind of payoff moments where it's like, oh wow, this is a touch sentimental moment. But then, like, in retrospect, they could have gotten there, 2 or 3 episodes sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would have been just as, impactful.
Yeah, I feel like that's my problem. And why I can't, like, One Piece. Okay.
Oh, boy.
all I say is One Piece.
It's too much.
One Piece is, I think, probably the best anime ever made that nobody will ever watch. And I think it's because they're just too disrespectful with the filler and the, like, oh, we're going to make a micron of progress in an episode. Like you have to watch the episode, but it's so inconsequential when you think about it. But something important, like one moment of importance happened. And I mean, I think I've said this before, but like One Piece has maybe two or three of my top time favorite anime moments in it. Like absolutely hands down, like maybe my number 1 and number 2 favorite anime moments. But like, man, like I just hate that I can't, like, I keep trying to convince my brother to watch One Piece. Like every time I see him, I'm like, all right, Brandon, today you gonna watch One Piece. And I try to pitch, but he's like, bro, it's at episode 5,000.
Right. It's a giant.
The art is just so gross.
Yeah, man. It's even with the filler guide, it's tough, man. It's still tough.
You say the art was gross?
Yeah, I really hate
At the beginning, the art was really, really tough.
It was crazy, yeah.
It was tough. But it gets better. It definitely gets better as their budget grows.
Yeah, they came into their own.
They definitely did. I don't know, like it kind of reminds me of like a lot of like of anime. I don't know if I'm watching. It's really the only anime I'm watching right now is not One Piece, goodness. My Hero. I've been slowly watching Bleach with Shailene.
Really?
Yeah, like
go back.
Did you go past the first 2 arcs?
No, not yet. We're still in the middle of the first arc.
Okay, so it's still good.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like Shailene, when she's watching it, I'm not sure what level of like it's interesting because I like the first season. First 2 seasons of Bleach are like really strong. One of my favorite moments is in Bleach. Definitely can't talk about it. It's too important of a spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen Bleach. But I don't know if she seems to be invested in it because she'll talk about it like, why is that red-haired dude, Renji, doing that? Like she'll say something like that, but she'll also be on her phone simultaneously. So I'm not I'm not 100% sure. I'm like, is she missing the nuances? Like, I don't know what, like, is she missing these little conversations between characters that's going to become important, in the future? But like, at the same time, I think that's just how she consumes some media, like until like she's really, really invested, So it's interesting. Like I'm remembering why I like Bleach and also why I don't like Bleach.
Just skip to the what is it? The full bring. Just skip right to the end. The best arc.
I don't think I ever finished Bleach, but maybe one day. And also, so this brings. What were we gonna say, Kyle?
I was gonna say, when it comes to Bleach, I've only seen like bits and pieces of it, and I don't think everything I saw was from the same season. So I know like references to stuff. And I know who Ichigo is. And I know about, he's like not to, hopefully this doesn't spoil anything because it's been out for a while, but he's like half hollow or something, and he's got like the different forms. But I've never really understood what was going on in Bleach.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Okay, so this is
read the manga. I've heard the manga's excellent, but I watched all of the anime, and I was hype for all of the anime, and then I got to the end and it was super lame. Well, it was somewhat lame. And then looking back on it, I'm like, wait, this has been lame for months.
Ooh.
It's definitely one of those animes, and I don't want to dissuade anybody from watching it. It's more just like it builds a really cool like story, and you can't wait to get to the end, but the end is just not as, I don't know. It's not bad. Like I think it has one of my I'm always say it's like one of my favorite anime characters, Grimjaw Jagged Jack, is in that anime, and I think it's worth like learning about Grimjaw and the Espada and stuff like
There's
that. Like
a lot of cool characters.
There's really cool characters, really cool characters. It's definitely, I think if you're an anime fan, it's like one of those shows you have to end up watching at some point. Or,
it's peak anime.
Yeah.
Peak shonen, I would say.
Yeah, the weapons and the choreography for the combat and stuff is really cool.
Yeah, I think the characters. I think honestly, yeah. What were you gonna say, Steve?
And the sound design. I still remember distinctly the sounds of the hollow Sero beams and the different flash steps. Mm-hmm. The different flash steps that the different like species, I guess you could say, of people have. Very super cool. Yeah, really great. They all have their own little themes.
Yeah, and then when this, there's a whole arc called the Espada arc. The music for that is just a bomb. Like, it is so good. It's the way they go with it. It's kind of like a Spanish, like it's flamenco.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, very good. Like, in the way they use it, it's very.
And Chad really shines in that arc too.
Yeah. So it's super cool. Like, I think it's one of those animes. Like, yeah, it's a little disappointing, but I think I'm gonna switch to Sword Art Online. Have you guys?
Wait, you're gonna switch the conversation, or are you gonna start watching it?
No, I'm gonna talk about Sword Art Online. Both, all. No, just switching the conversation. Have y'all seen Sword Art Online?
Mm-hmm. I've seen it. Yes,
you both seen it. So, once again, I mean, I think I'm always avoiding spoilers for people watching this, but I'll say Sword Art Online.
There's not really much to spoil.
You can definitely spoil anything. Like, like some people are interested in plots and it doesn't really matter. Like you're just details. So I'm not going to discuss details.
That's fair.
But I'm going to say that like Sword Art Online, I think, is one of the coolest premises of any anime I had, at least at the time when I saw it originally, that I'd ever seen. It was cool.
It felt like a totally new idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like what one of the Digimons tried to do.
What was that?
They had like a kind of like an online game type thing, or a virtual game. Or I mean, they would log in to a degree. I don't remember which season, but
I don't either. I'm impressed. I've never heard of this.
Well, they had the digipads or whatever, and so they'd go back and forth between the real world and the digi world like at will in one of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem with Digimon. Too many universes.
Yeah, it's too many.
Well, I think his takeaway was like really different from my takeaway from that.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen Sword Art Online, it's okay. So this falls within, to me, and I don't know if y'all feel this way, an anime that I suggest to anime fans 100%, but like just understand that like it is what it is. Like,
that's fair. It's whatever.
Like it's gonna be like, you're gonna love it, but you're also gonna feel things about it. For those who don't know, the premise is simply like people. I guess this isn't a spoiler, right? This is like the first episode, so like it's the premise.
You can be vague; it won't spoil anything.
Yeah,
give a review.
Yeah, the premise is essentially like everybody's playing an online game, and then the stakes become very serious very quickly. Mm-hmm. And what they do with it is super cool. I love the idea. I love the mixing of like online MMO kind of culture with anime, with high stakes and cool characters and mystery, and then, it does what Sword Art Online does. We got to have an episode called all spoilers only episode where we talk about stuff. Like, we could do another anime episode where we talk about shows that we all have watched and we just talk about the nuances. So we just immediately say at the beginning, hey, spoiler alert, so we can talk some details. But
or maybe we could just preface, like, I don't think that we necessarily have to, like, hold back on our spoilers, and we could just kind of warn anybody who might be listening. This
can now be the spoil. Well, I agree. We can have a special episode just to talk about things where we've all seen it. Because right now we're going in blind. I don't know what you guys have seen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we could just touch a few. And the thing is, like, once again, hey guys, we're still new to the podcast space, so I'm not sure how to, like, tell somebody, like, hey, jump to this place if you want to, like, I don't want people to be like, oh, well, I'm like, hey, shout out. I'm gonna do a real quick shout out to our boys at it's called Prime 1 Billion. It's one of our friends from church and just in general, Sheldon, and some of the guys. They have a podcast where you talk about Marvel, but sometimes I can't watch the episodes because they're talking about Marvel on something I haven't watched yet. So like, I'm like, oh man, I want to watch this episode, but I gotta catch up first. So there's nothing wrong with that. I love listening to the conversation. Like, shout out to Prime 1 Billion. It's on Spotify. Like, definitely check it out. But it's like, some episodes I can't watch. Other ones I'm good. But it's like, at least I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I get into I'm like, okay, they're talking about X show. Like, and they're going to go all in. So
they hold nothing back.
So I can wait until I finish. But yeah, like Sword Art. And are there any other animes that you guys think of, like, that, like, you would like, are there any caveat animes out there?
Darker Than Black.
Darker Than Black. Okay.
I already mentioned that, I think.
Like, it's an anime you suggest to people, but just be like, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, as in, hey, don't watch season 2. Just pretend it doesn't exist.
That's fair.
It goes in such, like, a totally different direction from the previous season, and it, like, really dumps on the main character. Actually, the way I feel about season 2 is probably the way that some super fans feel about The Last of Us Part 2, where they're like, they feel like it doesn't do justice to the first game. That's how I feel about season 2 of Darker Than Black. Except without the toxic culture and
that's the worst part of that. Like, hey, have your super hardcore like fandom, but don't like be toxic. Like, just like,
just dislike the game. Just don't like it. It's fine. No one's gonna fight you on that.
Yeah, for me, one I always say is Claymore. I think Claymore is just so good, but it is what it is at the end. But it's just so cool. I mean, the whole premise is like there's this like league of like demon hunting like women who are gangsters and kind of like Attack on Titan. Like, anybody can die and anybody can get it at any time. It's very, very dark, very, very brutal. And the interaction between the main two characters, like, is very interesting. Like, it's almost like it's just
that kid.
It's just very different than any like main characters you would deal with in any other anime, like how they shape their relationship and like their quote unquote dependency. It's a great anime. It's like I said, I think last episode it's like my number 6, like my honorable mention for my top 5, because I just love what it is
really good. Yeah.
Wow,
was Kyle.
Got anything?
So I'll wow you by not having an anime for this slot.
Wow.
It's okay.
Yo, you already know I don't watch that much. But what I will fulfill this slot with is another animated series that I've watched recently that I think fits in this, what'd you call it?
With the disappointment? No.
What? Like, watch at your own risk. Like, just know.
Yeah,
like,
watch at your own risk.
You should watch it, but just know it's just what it is.
And so the series was Invincible.
Really? You think that about Invincible? Interesting.
I do. Just because I had no idea what it was going in. I'd seen a couple of Divergent superhero shows and animations. So I had some expectations. But I thought the story was very good. However, they didn't hold like these were superhumans fighting regular people sometimes, and so they didn't pull any punches when it came to like what would actually happen
because
in that
they
situation.
didn't pull any punches.
Precisely. So that would be the caveat. I'm saying like if you don't want to see like blood, don't watch
it is
lots of blood.
It's definitely a. I think it's one of those shows that I tell people like just go in blind. Don't look anything up. Just watch it. Just watch it. Like if you're an adult, like I gotta know you, I guess, if I'm gonna suggest it to you, right?
Yes.
Like because I gotta know what you're into. But like it is alternate superhero type of show. I'm very interested to see what they do in the coming seasons or whatever they have. I don't know what their plan is. But I really like the show. I really like that show.
It was very good. Incredible writing. Like I was enthralled the entire time I was watching.
Yeah, no, it's great. You know. Oh, so Steve, you know what we should do? We should now try like to pitch like one anime to Kyle that we know he hasn't seen, that we think that he should watch. Like, because number one, Kyle, I think you should watch more and more anime. There's so many good ones. There's so many. There's names coming through my head right now. But like, if there's the next anime that Kyle should watch, what would it be? Like, what do you think he should?
Well, he doesn't have Netflix, right?
Yeah, but just assume that he could get access to it. You know?
Okay. Well, maybe we
Knights
should
of Sidonia. Thank you, Steve. I knew that's what you were going to say. Yeah,
no,
so
not Knights of Sidonia. No.
We'll come back
Don't
to
put
that
them
in
words
a
in my
second.
mouth.
We'll come back to that in a second.
God, I can't believe I watched 2 seasons of that.
Now I gotta watch it.
Oh my gosh. We'll come back to it, Steve, because I think it's worth a good segment talking about Knights of Sidonia. We won't even have to talk spoilers. It's just...
We can't talk spoilers. I actually would love to spoil that for anyone who listens to this podcast.
we'll
I
come
think
back
I was
around.
supposed to watch Demon Slayer at some point.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, watch Demon Slayer.
Well, he already has that on his list, so you can't use that one. You got to give a different one.
All right.
I mean, I appreciate you giving me kudos for having a list, but it does not exist, I assure you.
This man's counting on his fingers. And
Hey, the fact that you know the name of it means that it's somewhere in your mind somewhere. That you
It's somewhere. And there it goes.
Well, I can go while you're thinking, Steve. I think a really cool anime that I think you'd enjoy, it is on Netflix, maybe somewhere else, I don't know, is Parasite.
Oh.
I think Parasite with a Y.
Yes.
It's definitely like an anime.
It's pretty violent.
It's violent. It's definitely violent.
But not as violent as Invincible probably was.
Yeah, it's not to that degree, but it has levels of violence, but they make sense in when in the context
in the universe. Yeah.
Parasite is just a really cool anime. It's just I mean, it's in the first episode, but essentially like there's parasites, and what that means, and like just this one character dealing with this new discovery and just this whole world of like, what does the world look like with these parasite type creature? It's super cool. It's one of those shows that like literally I just randomly started watching and I binge watched in like, I think a day or two. Like,
didn't I tell you to watch it? Didn't you watch it at the house with me?
I can't remember because you weren't there when I was watching it because it was just me and Smiles. I think you were out of town.
Shorter one?
Shorter and like it's one season.
It might be 2 seasons, but it's
good
like
for me.
It's wrapped up. It's totally done. It's really short.
Well,
the pacing is excellent.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like you don't need any more than what it is. I have a feeling there'll be more of it, but like
it doesn't matter. It's wrapped up, is what I'm saying.
It does a good job, and you don't feel like I gotta wait for the next season per se, But yeah, like I just was watching it. Maybe you suggested to me. Maybe I can't. I think so. I think some reason I clicked on it.
I think I told Smiles to watch it.
Yeah, and I just watched it and I just was done. Like within, like I just went hard. Like I haven't binge watched a show like that in a long time.
Wow.
It was super fun. It was super cool. Very different. In many ways, it reminds me of like when I think of a show like Sword Art Online, like where you're like, wow, this is a really cool premise. That's very unique. And, you know, like it is so unique. So Parasite, I would, that's my suggestion for you, Kyle. Like on your next anime when you're thinking of what you want to watch and you're not sure.
Thank you.
And it's also, I know it's on Netflix. I think it's on like Crunchyroll as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think I saw it somewhere else. Maybe even Hulu. Yeah. So that's, and yeah, I don't know. Do you got one? You got one for him, Steve?
Parasite.
No, we should go through the list. We're like 40 minutes in.
Yeah, we can do that. So once again, it's just like a list of anime. I mean, there's so many. We don't really have enough time to cover all of them.
We should skip the movies just to simplify.
Yeah, for me, I'm not gonna go in order. I'm just gonna go with some of the ones that popped out on me, and then I think you guys just pop in with what you got because this is
so one that just popped into my head a couple of minutes ago. It's based on something you guys said. I think it was Soul Reaper.
Oh yeah.
Soul Eater.
Soul Eater. Yeah,
Soul Eater. Yes.
I really liked that one.
I watched the first 10 minutes of the first episode.
I
didn't dislike it. I don't know why I didn't stick with it.
Well, I watched it because it was on TV, so you know it was one of those situations where I watched it as they decided to air it, and I always enjoyed it. Like the art style to me was really cool. Like they would have this really like heavy outline type of style, very dramatic poses and stuff.
Kind of stylized.
Yeah, but
I guess it's anime. It's all stylized.
Yeah. I feel like that. Same for me. Sorry, Kyle, with Soul Eater. I started it, but I got to like episode 2, maybe 10 minutes into that. But I was like, oh, this seems cool. But I don't know. It just didn't like. Not that I felt like there's other anime like it. It's just like I was like, oh, I'll watch this later. It was like one of those like it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't feel pressing. Like when you watch certain animes, you're like, oh, I need to finish this. You know.
Yeah, it was definitely slow going. I still don't know what the premise necessarily was, like why they were doing stuff. Now that I think about it, I mean, it was years ago, but even now, all the ones that I have watched, like I can kind of vaguely at least remember like who the enemy was at least, but I don't even remember who the big bad was in that show, if there was one.
What were they doing? Wait, did I watch that show? Like you start to question. Yeah, so no, that's a I forgot it. That makes me like, okay, I should go back and watch that because like I've been kind of personally, I haven't really watched many anime in the last few years. I feel like gaming and anime I've kind of decreased in the last like 2 to 3 years because so much was going on in life. But now like things are kind of settling out and I'm like, oh, like I can play games again and I can watch anime again and you know, so I just need a list because I'm about to finish. I finished. What was the one that Dragon? What was it? Dragon
Tales.
Yes, Dragon. I just finished Dragon Tales, the hottest anime. No, the one we were just talking about with the sword and it has really cool animation and the sword is
Bleach
water.
What? Dragon Slayer.
Demon Slayer. Thank you. I'm sorry for saying dragon.
Why did you say dragon? Jeez.
I don't know. It's just D. Demon Slayer. I just finished that not too long ago. That's a great anime. I'm looking forward.
Have you seen the movie?
No, I heard it was like the highest grossing anime movie ever or something crazy. Like
yeah, it did really well.
Yeah, I gotta
watch the movie, dude. It won't let you down.
Okay. Is the anime like a lot of the anime movies where it's just like a recap of?
No, it is a direct sequel to where Demon Slayer leaves off, and hopefully when Demon Slayer season 2 comes out, it will just continue after the movie.
Oh man, see, nice. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. A movie,
I haven't.
An anime movie that actually is crucial to the show. It's always like I'm always used to Dragon Ball Z, like random.
Yeah. My Hero kind of alludes to that. Their movie does that.
I didn't like the movie. Well, I like the movie, but I don't agree. I feel like it was filler.
Oh, so I haven't seen it, but they do like an ad in the show telling you to go see the movie, like where you're supposed to go watch it in reference to the season.
Interesting.
Yeah, it technically fits into the story, but having seen it, I can tell you that it doesn't really add anything to the story.
That's a shame.
Yeah, Naruto does that too. They have like movies that are like clearly like side, like it like rounds out some characters, like in the sense of like, oh, you learn a little bit more about them, but it's not like, oh, if I didn't see this, I wouldn't understand X, Y, and Z. You know, it's just more of what you want to see if you're into it. So I'm interested. I got to see Demon Slayer movie. But why was I even saying that? Demon Slayer. I was just saying that I'm running out of anime to watch. So I'm always interested to hear more. But one of the animes that I saw on this list that I did want to mention before the show ends for today, and this is one of those shows that is so special to me. It's number 39 on this list of the 500 most popular. It's Mushi-Shi.
Oh, you've seen that?
Yes, I've seen it. It's one of. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Steve?
All I was saying was yes. I love that show.
Yeah, it is one of those random finds. It kind of actually, it's funny that Heroic AG is on your list of top 5 because Heroic AG was like super random. Like nobody necessarily, like no, maybe one of my friends suggested me to watch it, but it felt very random. Like that I started watching it. Mushi-Shi was completely random. I just saw an anime on a random place, and I was like, let me just start a new one, and I love it. It's basically just a bunch of short stories within the world of Mushi-Shi, and Mushi-Shi are basically like spirits, a
higher level living creature.
Yeah, they're like the spirit, kind of like spirit. They're not spirits because they're
analogous. They're analogous to like the Japanese like demons and yokai and stuff. Like they're kind of spirits, but in the anime, they're just like fungi. They're just another kind of living creature. They just
exist, and they do things. And like the main character is kind of like a Mushi expert, master, Mushi expert, and he goes around and dealing with like kind of like the mysteries of what they do. And the really cool thing about it is like that the episodes that you watch aren't necessary. Like you don't necessarily get the conclusion that you'd expect, I guess you could say, from an episode sometimes. And it's really cool. I love that. It's just like short stories, and you just kind of see how, it impacts different people. There's definitely a storyline. I know there's an anime that runs behind it, for the main character, but, I just really, like there's, it's mentioned like in the very beginning, maybe like the second, third episode in the very end, you kind of see a glimpse into it, but
his past.
Yeah, but like overall, it's a really good show to just watch and like experience.
And chill. It's a chill show.
It's very chill. It's
very cool. And really beautiful. Like lots of great visuals and good storytelling.
Yeah. So what about you guys? Any of these animes on this list jump out to you right now?
So there was one from another one from my childhood. It was on my list. I don't think I mentioned it on our anime episode, but maybe I did. Inuyasha. Did that come up?
Oh, Inuyasha.
It did not come up.
Yeah, sorry. Continue.
Oh, yes. Those ending songs would go hard, man.
Hard, boy. Ooh, feeling things.
I'd put them on my iPad and listen to them while mowing the grass.
Mm-hmm. You just got to turn the lights off in the darkness and just listen to them, and you can just feel. Feel.
Why this person went through heartbreak for the end of this anime?
I know, right? Like, it's just feel it. Like, so why Inuyasha stand out to you?
I thought it was. I guess it felt like it was different from anything else I'd watched at that time. Like Inuyasha was my first experience with a animal hybrid person on that level. I guess is he a cat boy?
Wait.
He's a demon. He's not a cat boy.
Well, it was like a running joke that she would call him a dog, right?
Yes.
So he was a wolf something?
Yes. His dad was a demon, a wolf, and his mom was human. Yeah.
That's
nice.
Okay, see, yikes. Yeah, indeed. That's So anyway, that was my first experience with something like that. And then I thought his brother Shishomaru, was that his name?
Yeah. Yes. Shishomaru.
I thought he was like the coolest guy ever with his big old like fur coat thing. I'm like, man, what a boss! Every time he was there, and then he had that. Inuyasha had that big sword. Yeah, it just checked all the boxes in my little mind of, what a cool character.
Our friend Caleb just finished watching, or I should say, binging Inuyasha like a year ago.
Inuyasha, nice. I don't believe there's an ending to Inuyasha. Inuyasha is like literally 50 million episodes. It is like just.
Oh, maybe he didn't finish.
It just keeps going. Like it's like one of those weird animes where it's like like on some networks like Cops. You ever watch like a certain network and like Cops is always playing? Like Inuyasha was that. Like it always there's more. There's always more. You're like, I thought I saw this episode. Like, nah, like there's more. And
it's a little different.
In I don't know if this is spoilers, but like I don't know. Like Inuyasha's number one. Inuyasha is the type of show that's like the stakes are what they are, but it's like kind of also doesn't make sense because it's like happening in the past and the future at the same time, which is super confusing. But like the main bad guy is like the most annoying person ever. Like he's just constantly showing up, messing things up, and then like he always is disappearing when he's just super annoying. But
always one of those.
Yeah, like he never like really wants to die. Like he's like the video game boss. Haha, you thought you got me this time. Spoosh. Like anytime they interact with him, also
runs off in a cutscene.
Exactly. Like you're like, wait, where do you go? Also, Inuyasha is a special type of anime where I know women who've gotten into anime because of Inuyasha. Like nothing, like it touched them. Like it's kind of, I think it's for teenage girls. Like if you think about it, Kagome, she's a high school girl. There's a cute cat boy or wolf boy. There's Shishomaru with his cool jacket and he's super cute and stoic and but his heart is kind of good, but he's clear, and all of the characters that Kagome deals with are girls, like high school girls, like it's a very Sailor
Except for that one monk guy.
There's
the lewd monk, yeah.
Yeah, like, and but if you think about it, all the show kind of, like in most animes, rotate around the main character, and it's a girl.
Yeah.
And it's a high school girl, so, yeah.
That's
like,
a good point.
Like, I think my sister was really big into Sailor Moon, and she liked Inuyasha.
Similar energy.
Yeah. It's like, which makes sense, and it's more crushed. If you think about all the boys, like they're all very dreamy, like, if they're either dreamy or they're not, it kind of falls within that. But yeah, Inuyasha. I think Inuyasha I loved because it was always on at night. Like it's like background.
And it was chill, even in the fights. It was still a chill show.
It's chill. And the music was just great. The outro. Just otherworldly. Steve, anything on the list popping out for you, brother?
So this is surprising to me. First of all, this is an observation. I can't believe that Full Metal Alchemist is higher than FMA Brotherhood. It's like number 1, and then FMA Brotherhood's 22. Yeah, so I feel like this list is worthless.
I don't think it's most popular. Most popular doesn't necessarily mean the best, right? Like the highest rated, because Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I think, is the highest rated.
I guess it is more popular, yeah.
Yeah, but I think in many ways, because of Brotherhood, the Full Metal Alchemist kind of is cool because it kind of brings both audiences, like,
yeah,
and yeah, when I was in Japan, I did see a lot of Full Metal Alchemist stuff. Now I think about it.
I mean,
that makes sense.
They're not going to like separate out the merch, are they?
No, I mean I don't think so. It's just Al and Ed.
It's all Full Metal Alchemist stuff. Yeah. So the first thing near the top of the list, this really surprises me. Elfen Lied.
I've never seen it. I've seen that everywhere, but I've never watched it.
What is that?
You've seen it everywhere? That's so surprising to me. I saw it in high school, and I've never heard anyone mention it until now, pretty much. It's I'll just go ahead and say it. It's a show with a lot of nudity and a lot of ultra violence. So I do not suggest that anyone here watch it, or potentially not anyone listening. But it's about this woman who escapes from a facility where she's being held, and essentially she has the ability to not the ability. She has these long, stretchy, invisible arms. 4 of them, I think. Some set number of arms that come out of her head, and they can lift great weights and throw things, and they can vibrate and like cut through pretty much anything. So she's a murder machine. And the first episode is basically her breaking out of this facility butt nude. And all these guards and like, you know, stormtrooper type characters just getting mowed down by her. It's really awful. She can even deflect bullets with the arms. So like she's essentially invincible at first, at least. And then other stuff happens, and the show goes into all these things. I remember liking it, aside from all the crazy nudity. And I was in high school, and I wasn't really into that kind of thing. And I was like, ugh. But I still like the show more or less. But I was reading about it recently, and apparently it doesn't age very well. Like, some of the characters are like minors, and there's like some sexual situations with them. And it's wackadoo for sure. But I'm surprised it's so high, because like I said, I never hear anyone talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like I've never heard anybody talk about it, but I've seen it everywhere. Like, it's one of those shows that I know exists, that I know is popular, but I don't know if I've never had access to it or interest, or maybe the premise never interested me, but like, it's definitely one of those shows that like I'm really well aware of, but like, and probably will never watch. But
it's a cool premise. I mean, she's a cool. It's an interesting premise. Yeah.
I think that same for me is the number 19, Full Metal Panic. I've heard of that quite a bit, but I've never watched that either. So it's interesting, like, to see some shows like I've seen them. I would say like Princess Mononoke, which is number 5 on the list, most popular, is you know, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but to me,
the movie,
the movie,
movie.
To me, it's I don't know, it's one of my favorite movies. Just by how weird it is, you know, like it just has this feeling, and there's this like wood creature, wood spirit, like it's kind of this weird deer thing. It's one of the creepiest things when I was a kid. Like I was
the Lord of the Forest.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, like I never want to see this thing ever again. Like it's one of the weirdest designs, but it was super cool. Really love Princess Mononoke. Like,
I feel like we shouldn't be allowed to talk about Miyazaki films because they're all excellent. Like, what can we add?
Like, they're not fair. Like Spirited Away, of course, timeless.
Just off the table.
They're on the list.
They just dilute the list because it's like they're gonna be at the top. Like, like it's not fair. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I'm looking at the top, like, most popular, and I don't see Dragon Ball Z. You know, I'm looking here.
There's in the whole list of 500, it's in there. The very bottom, number 500, is actually a Dragon Ball Z movie.
Oh snap! Ergo Proxy's on here.
Roasted them.
Yeah, I thought.
Maybe you guys might remember. I have been thinking of this anime. I guess it counts as an anime. But it was like years ago. But the main character, it was kind of like Zatch Bell, but everybody had robots.
Metabots.
Was that it? Metabots? Because I remember the main character was Meta B. Yep. And it was called Metabots. Yellow guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Meta B. Yeah, I remember watching it, but I have no clue what that is.
I was hoping with everything in me that it wasn't called Metabots, and then they just made. Man, what a lazy.
Called Metabots. Sorry.
What a lazy naming convention.
Your soul is hurt.
It is. I'm hurt by that, but it was still a good show. Or at least from what I remember of it, I enjoyed it just because it tickled that fancy of collecting or having like a companion and then fighting stuff with it, which seemed to be like everybody was trying to go on that Pokemon tip, man.
Yeah, trying to get the collectibles, man. That was the hot thing. So you got to make it's like when Power Rangers had all those weird Beetleborgs and like all those like offshoots, like. You got to do it. So I want to call out 2 things on this list. One is Ouron Host Club High School. Are any of y'all familiar with that show?
No, I avoid anything that has the word club or high school in the title.
So I don't know how I ended up watching. I think it was a joke amongst my friends. But basically, Ouron Host Club High School Host Club is that there's a woman who is trying to get into this school. but she's not capable of doing it for some reason as a woman. So she acts like she's a man to like go to the school. But the Ouron High School Host Club is like this club of guys who basically it's like reversed fan service. So for people who aren't familiar, fan service is basically like putting like really big chested, scantily clad, big cleavage type woman in a show. But it's like the opposite for women, I guess you could say. So it's like a lot of shirtless dudes, like with oily. It's very, very strange. I've watched a few episodes and I was like, I can't take this anymore. Like I was trying to finish it, but I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I don't know how people watch that.
What was the point?
So the premise was basically she was trying to get into the school, but she had to dress up like a guy and she had to join the because the guys all were like, oh, like, and all the girls were into her when she was dressed up as a guy or something like that. So the host club, like she didn't want to be in the host club, but she had to like join it for some reason. The premise isn't absolutely horrible, but the show is just.
Wasn't that the plot to She's the Man with Amanda Bynes?
Yes.
I think it's basically the anime version of She's the Man. And then another one that I saw on the list was I didn't think I would see it on this list was the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children movie.
That movie's banging, dude. What are you talking about?
Like in the sense of anime. Like I don't think of that movie as anime, but like first of all I was super hyped. Like
Learning the line.
When that movie came out, me and my friends straight just being real. I hope they can't sue me. It's pretty long. I didn't pirate it, but he pirated it because he had better internet. And we watched it pirated, but it took him like 12 hours to get it. And then we watched that junk because we were big Final Fantasy movie fans. And that movie was super hype. But I was just surprised to see it on the list. I never just thought of it as anime. I just thought of it as like random video game movie. You know what I'm saying?
While recording this, they text you.
Crash behind you.
I can't believe Full Metal Alchemist the movie Conqueror Shambhala is on. It's like that movie is so. Anyway, that's just.
Yeah, I feel like this website is a little weird.
Well,
because...
the thing is, I believe that it's popular because it's Full Metal Alchemist related, but it's just hard for me to believe that people like that movie. But people love,
Man, when you got 500 slots,
you'll fall in there somewhere.
So I already mentioned it, but I'm really surprised to see Ergo Proxy on here because I really wanted to like that show. Ergo Proxy. Remember we were talking about Ghost in the Shell and how nobody does Ghost in the Shell better than Ghost in the Shell.
Know what you mean.
I know someone who does worse. And it's Ergo Proxy.
I feel you in every possible capacity. Ergo Proxy is the show that you're like, I want more Full Metal. I want more Ghost in the Shell in my life. So, tech world, female protagonist, somewhat dark, kind of interesting world.
Philosophical questions of reality and identity.
So I must like this show, but I've literally watched the same episode like 3 times because it's almost like I have fallen asleep while being awake watching that show. It
hypnotized you.
So it's a show that exists to make you watch other shows.
To remind you why you love the show that you love.
What you doing watching this?
Go back. You better watch this. Better watch Ghost in the Shell. Yes, man.
So I already mentioned I love Guren Lagan. God, that's the kind of show that like
I'm sorry.
That's the kind of show that you watch it and you're interested in it because it feels Guren Lagan. It's number 16.
Oh.
You watch the show and it feels like one kind of show and you're like, oh, I wonder where this is going to go. And then it swiftly like changes genre. Or no, it doesn't change genre. It just becomes
a different show. Like
it like doubles down. It doubles down on the same genre and becomes a different show that's like magnified,
Oh.
And by the end of it, like I don't know how to describe it. I cried. Like
it got you.
I tried to watch this with Keisha And she didn't give it enough time. She was like, I don't like this. It's weird. Why is this woman always wearing a bikini?
Yeah, that's weird.
It has one character who always wears a bikini no matter what.
No matter what.
Oh, is that the one with the girl who wears the flame bikini thing?
Yeah, she has a big sniper rifle.
Yeah, I've seen her in stuff. I didn't know what her
that
show was.
Is so banging. And it goes from like kind of silly to like, oh my gosh, this is silly, but also super poignant and well written, and just it still manages to be over the top and goofy.
Yeah, there's a point in the show where I was like, whoa, like wait a second, that's not where this should have been going. Like I thought this was going a different route, and like after like the first part of the story, it's almost to me like the exact like, you know when you play a game like Civilizations or something, and like you just keep on like making like your empire keeps getting greater and greater, and like eventually like you just like, I don't know, the show kind of reminds me of that. Like it's like you just keep upgrading.
Yes, the stakes keep going higher and higher. Well, not the stakes, but the battles and like the things to protect.
The scale of things.
The scale.
It just scales up like exponentially. Literally like exponentially.
Kind of like Dragon Ball, where you go from like fighting one guy to fighting a bunch of guys to fighting to save your country, then the planet, then you're fighting in space. You know, I don't know if you actually fight in space. You don't fight in space in Dragon Ball, but I mean, it feels like that.
I mean,
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Dragon Ball Z, like you fighting all kind of stuff. I mean, you fighting the afterlife, like all kind of weird stuff.
Like it's almost as crazy as the Fast and Furious franchise.
Do another one, Kyle, because I have one I want to talk about, but I don't want to take up all the time.
So you did make me think of one when you mentioned that girl, because I got like similar energy from another show I used to watch, and I thought it wasn't on this list, but I just went back through it. It's number 11, and I missed it because I forget the name. Because on like all the
I love Fooly Cooly.
The blurbs, it says Fooly Cooly, but then if you look it up, it's FLCL, and that always throws me. But anyway,
wait, what do you mean the blurbs? That's how it always is.
Not like if you're watching the show, they have like the freeze frames, and it says written out Fooly Cooly. But if you read it somewhere, like or you find the show online or whatever, it's always FLCL.
Yeah, I've never seen anything but FLCL.
Yeah, I mean the way that I knew it was called Fooly Cooly is because the words Fooly Cooly.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing that.
Yeah, because I only saw it on TV, so I didn't have access to see it called FLCL. I think. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, I had to hear it somewhere, but I don't remember where. But anyway.
They use the word in the show.
That I feel like that wouldn't be enough for me to hold on to, but it could have been.
No, there's a lot of stuff in the show. I totally agree.
But yeah, so that show was just completely bonkers. The scooter and the girl fighting everybody with a guitar,
and the bass,
and the weird
bushy brows,
and the thing coming out of his head, and
oh my gosh, with the Band-Aid.
I have at least one wallpaper on my computer in my collection from Fooly Cooly, and it's I forget what they named the robot, Kami or something. Not Kami.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
But yeah, I have him ripping the guts out of some other robot. I'm like, that is so sick. It's really good.
Like that was one of those shows. Every episode just felt like its own like little mini movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they were so epic, but they were like 12 minutes long. I don't know how.
And there's only 6 episodes.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's not even called a TV show. They just say it's an OAV. You know, like it's not like.
What does that stand for?
I forget.
Orchestrated, some animated video, something animated video. I forget.
Basically, it means it's not a movie and it's not an anime, but it's like limited release stuff on Netflix.
Original video animation.
It's usually OVA, I thought.
OVA, sorry, I said OAV.
All of them say OAV.
It says OAV, yeah, but it's supposed to be OVA.
No, OVAs are different. OVAs are like video, like they're. Hold on, now y'all got me typing this up.
let's skip it. This is boring. Do another one. Let's talk about it.
So yeah. I was gonna. I can't remember the name of it, but I actually am happy I can't remember the name of it because I want nobody to ever watch it ever. There's an anime.
If you describe it, I'm gonna know what it's called.
I'm gonna know.
I had to stop watching it because I couldn't get past it. It's basically an anime where this girl's power is her suit, but it's basically a super inappropriate. Gosh, I can't remember.
I don't know the name of it either.
Yeah, it's
I know what you're talking about.
Kill a Kill. That's what it is. Kill a Kill.
Oh,
and it's an interesting, weird anime. Like on its surface, like it's like a school. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Isn't that also the same guys who did Guren Lagan?
I think so. That's what made me think of it because the animation is like
surprised.
Very, very similar. But the problem with the show is that her power is from basically like a bikini that gets super tight and sucks her blood to empower her. So it's so ridiculous. Like I just was like, bro, I can't do this no more. Like I was interested in the show, but I was like, I can't in good conscience like be watching this if somebody walk in. like
man, what you watching?
Like it's just rough. Yeah,
this that anime you was telling me about.
this is what anime is.
I know
it. Steve, I'm surprised you haven't brought up is Code Geass. Code Geass.
That's low hanging fruit. I talk about Code Geass all the time.
Like I have a lot of feelings about Code Geass.
I love it. That's my feeling.
It's one of those shows where I'm like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, this show is so stupid.
I never watched that one.
Lelouch to me is like he's basically like
Lelouch. I do know that name.
If you ever watched what's the Death Note, he's like light Yagami or whatever to the 1000th degree.
It's basically I always tell people Code Geass is like what would happen if Death Note was a mech anime.
Basically,
it's very similar to Death Note.
Always plotting, man. Like
I only watched the first episode.
Dude, you would not regret it. Definitely, I would not put it ahead of the other shows that we've suggested to you. But I mean, it's very satisfying, and it has one of my favorite endings. At the end of season 2, has one of my favorite endings of like anything of this like type of show. It's really great.
All I will say is that the ending, it just feels like it takes a really long time to get there. I don't know how to describe it, but it just felt very long. And then like how it ends is so, I still to this day am gripping to understand what happened. Like, it's very Evangelion to me when I think about it, how it ended. Like, it was just it was confusing to me. Like, what
were we watching the same show? Evangelion is like insane.
No, I mean, when I say that, I mean in the sense that like, to me, it felt like, like, I guess that's, I don't know. I felt, I don't know. I don't necessarily, I think it's a good show, but I can't like, I've never recommended it to anybody.
That's fair.
I couldn't watch Death Note because of the tall monster guy. What was his name?
Oh,
Ryuji?
Riku?
Rook. God. Something Rook.
Yeah. You're in the ballpark. Anyway, so he just made me super uncomfortable.
Really?
So, yeah, like he was like, maybe I'm not remembering correctly. It was years ago, but he was like, he wouldn't blink and he would be like licking his teeth. And I'm like,
well, he's not in Code Geass, so feel free.
Well, yeah. I was still talking about Death Note. But, I can watch Code Geass to get. I see.
It's definitely Death Note to the next level.
But and then I also have trouble remembering like if the episode of Death Note I saw was the actual episode or if it was a spoof. Because what I remember is like the guy had the book, the demon guy was there. He wrote in the book, and then somebody got Final Destination outside his window. Is that how it works?
I mean, that's pretty much how it works.
Pretty much. I don't know if it happened outside his window in the anime, but definitely 100% how it works.
Yeah. I can't think of the scene you're talking about, but that's very plausible that it exists within the real anime.
I think what I like about Death Note is like, you know, the premise pretty early in the show, but it's when he starts to realize like, oh, this is real. Like, this is real. And he's starting to like kind of grip with what it is. And then his decisions on why he starts to be, you know, the light that he becomes. And it's very interesting how they like, there's this like, just watch it. It's really cool. I think you'll like it. Kyle, even though you hate, what's his name? The demon guy. He's like the
death god.
Yeah, the death guy. He's important, but like not really.
Yeah, it seemed like he was here. He seemed like he was here to stay, and so I was like, I guess it's gonna be me or you.
It's him. He's definitely there to stay, but like, the fact that we can't remember his name tells you.
And there's others like him too.
Yeah, there are. There are other ones.
See, I didn't need to know that.
Tell you what, man. Watch Code Geass.
I agree with Steve. Watch Code Geass.
See, I'm be wondering.
You know, there's a scene in Death Note where he's like tricking the police, and he's writing in the Death Note secretly, and in the anime, they like made the scene ridiculous. He's like, and I'll eat a chip, and it's like super dramatic, and it's
so
it's like all like so the entire. I would say you take that ridiculous memeable scene, that is most of Code Geass.
Oh,
yeah, like epic plotting. Epic.
He's
plotting.
ultra dramatic. He's super dramatic and flamboyant with all of his like plans. It's great.
Haha! So you thought this, but I knew you'd think that I would think this. Like, it's so crazy. So we're running up here on the end. I just want to say two shows that I just want to throw out there to anybody who's an anime fan who I think you should watch. One is Samurai 7. It is one season.
Really?
Yeah, like I think
the Chinese one.
Chinese.
Samurai 7, isn't that the newest show with the guy has like scissors or something?
No. I don't know what that is, but that sounds interesting. Tell me more later. But Samurai 7 is basically follows 7 samurai who are basically trying, like, it's based, I think, on this Japanese something from the past that I'm not super familiar, but it's like
definitely not what I was thinking.
But it's like a mech version of samurais. It is super cool, but the way, like, I think this might be the only anime I've honestly feel like I shed a tear in because of how powerful they do some things in this. I think it's the
only anime.
Yeah, like for real. Like a lot of animes make me feel things, but this one, like, I actually think I might have shed a tear. Like it was so, yeah. So that's Samurai 7, and also I preach on this one. Like, I feel like I'm just yelling it into the abyss, but it's a show called Into Abyss or Into the Abyss.
Oh.
And it's on Amazon Prime. I've been trying to get people to watch it, and nobody will watch it. It's like,
Amazon Prime, I can watch that one.
Yeah, Into Abyss is a very, very...
It looks so good.
Interesting show. All I can say is it's about this pit that if you go into it, you can't really come out of it without consequences. And it follows children who are in this world. And it's really... I really liked it a lot. Actually, I'm going to probably go back and watch it again. But yeah, so those are my two, Samurai 7 and Into Abyss. If you're an anime fan, just go ahead, put them on your list. Those are ones, like, they're not really for like just anybody. They're for anime fans, I think, personally.
I watched, I think, the first episode or two with you, and I don't have Amazon Prime, so I have not been able to follow up. But man, it did look really cool.
It's really cool. I will rewatch it with you, Kyle. If you start watching it, let me know. I really like that.
I might start watching it. I do have Amazon Prime. I might give it a try. What was Into the Abyss?
Into Abyss.
Into Abyss too.
Oh, I always say Into the because it just feels like that's what it should be, but it's Into Abyss. Yeah,
Into Abyss.
I feel like it'll never be popular, but it's a show. So yeah,
you can get it there.
I will continue to talk of Into Abyss until somebody falls into the abyss and watches it. So yeah, I mean, any last animes y'all want to throw out there before we end? We're kind of running on the end up here.
I'm scrolling.
Have either of you guys played Jump Force?
No.
I have watched videos and I was like, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I was curious, I guess, what you guys thought, because it seemed like on the surface, I guess. A lot of the characters were faithful to their respective animes, but since I haven't seen that many, I can't really appreciate them as well.
I have played Jump Force. I played it at GDC. It is exactly what it looks like. It's just a, Smash Bros. Clone. Yeah, like you just kind of play. It's cool, but it's just not. You want it to be cooler than it is. Basically, that's what I think. That's like, yeah, it's just not. It's not as cool as Smash Brothers. Simple as that.
I watched the gameplay trailers when they would release like Yugi and Seto Kaiba and the guy from Death Note, and they're
wait, he's in there.
Yes, Shonen Jump.
Certain. Saying I'm almost certain he's in there. If not, somebody modded him in, but like their movesets don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because they're like fighting Goku, who's hitting them in the face, and they're pulling out trap cards,
But hey, I mean, it's Smash Brothers. Like, if you think about it, like, they made it work, so they don't have an excuse.
I guess. But at least, like in Smash Bros., everybody throws a punch.
Not necessarily, kind of, sort of, Some people throw weird, like, Luma? What's her name?
Luma.
Rosalina.
Yeah. Rosalina and Luma.
Yeah, but
you have the star bits. That's lore accurate.
Yeah, so it just kind of fits. I mean, at the end of the day, you need a Sakurai. That's the only way your gamer is going to be good. You need a
unfortunately
Sakurai.
True.
So any last animes before we call it?
Yeah, I scrolled and I found a gem. Number 215, Psycho-Pass.
Oh,
Psycho-Pass.
Psycho-Pass is very good. Have you guys seen it?
Mm-mm.
I have been told to watch it, but I think it's one of those shows that I can never watch because it was never on a platform that I could watch it.
Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it. I thought it was on Netflix, but it probably was not. So the premise of Psycho-Pass is it's in the future, and Japan has created this technology that lets them preemptively know who is going to have like a psychotic break, who's going to become a criminal. That's a better way of putting it. And so everyone's assigned a color, and you're always being monitored, and your Psycho-Pass can go up or down. Essentially, it's like your criminality constant or something.
I have seen this show. I don't think I've finished it, but yes, I do remember this. Yes.
And so the main characters are detectives who are following this serial killer who somehow, in this perfect world, is managing to pull off his stunts. Oh, no. It's not one serial killer. They're like following like various different people. That's how it goes. So it's like solving crimes. And it's really cool. It gets into like all these different questions of, the morality of what Japan has done and how they've done it, and all this thing. And then season 2 was not as good, but still pretty good.
Psycho-Pass.
It's also very violent though, because they have these weapons that can go. It's like one gun that can either just stun you, or it can like go into like full cannon mode and just it hits you, and just like in Gantz, like your body just kind of like bursts open. It's really really brutal.
Yeah.
And like the first scene, they do that to a guy who's like raping a woman, like as he's raping her, and they just bust him over top of her. So it's pretty awful. Yeah. And then I think her criminality constant goes up because obviously she's traumatized.
That's what I remember. I was like, I feel like that was the thing. Like you get traumatized and then your thing goes up and you're like, what do I do now? Like,
so everyone's constantly babied. No one is ever stressed about anything because your stress can make your constant go up, and no one wants to be. You can't get a good job. You can't like get support. Yeah. It's like super involved into the society.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't think I finished it, but I really enjoyed what it was doing with at least the premise. Super cool.
Yeah, it was really well made too. It was good. The first season was excellent.
Okay.
Second season was all right.
I got to put that on my must watch soon list. Cool. Anything from you, Kyle, before we call it?
I'm good. This was fun.
Cool, man. Yeah, one last one that I always throw out there. Monster. Good one.
Oh, I always hear about Monster.
Monster's a good one. Itayo! If you watch Monster, you'll know exactly what I mean, and you'll bust out laughing. But, so Monster, it's just basically about a crazy kid. Like, and has one of the coolest side, like, there's like the storybook in it, and they read from it episode to episode. It's so cool. like how it's kind of Kyle, say this, I know you're not big into like scary movies, so it's more of like a psycho thriller kind of thing, but this little book is kind of creepy, like it's a little creepy, so just heads up.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do creepy books.
So cool, man. Well, man, I feel like I'm looking more at this anime list, and I keep seeing stuff. I'm like, oh man, I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about this, and like, and I forget there's random animes that I've watched that I'm like, oh my goodness, like Psychopaths, like, it's crazy. Like you watch so many, you sometimes forget that. Yeah. Like Outlaw Star, I just seeing that, and I'm forgetting.
Oh, Zammed Lost Memories. That's cool.
You know, so maybe we'll have a part 3 in the future. We're gonna get Kyle to watch some more anime, and we'll come back so he's ready. We're gonna have a all spoiler episode where we talk about animes maybe that we've talked about before or we've all seen. So I got some anime to watch. I gotta finish Attack on Titan. I need to maybe watch Psycho-Pass. But I'm excited. I love anime, and Kyle, I'm definitely gonna force more and more anime until you're one of us. Until you speak of Code Geass as Steve speaks of Code Geass. So.
Deep within my heart.
Deep within my heart. Cool.
Find you a girl who looks at you the way I look at Code Geass.
Truly. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Super Agile Bros. As you know, we love what we do and we're just enjoying this conversation. Super excited, once again, always for the episodes to come. Hope you guys can join us on that. Y'all take it easy. And until next time,